I was on your boy Rico from StreetScores, and apparently the New York Jets are trying to steal some of this Commanders juice that we got going on by trying to take away our defensive coordinator. We're going to talk about why that's both a good thing and, of course, a bad thing as well. Also, the Washington Commanders versus Detroit Lions upcoming playoff game in the divisional round has already set an NFL record. We're going to dive into that and a lot more as well. But before we get into everything, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned for all of the content. Y'all know I'm hitting y'all with videos daily. I'm getting back to the point where I'm trying to get to like 2 videos a day. You already know that we're going to do the Commanders Kings tonight with me and Oliver, Rio Robinson, Louis T, all of us celebrating that playoff win over the Bucks. And you already know I will be live streaming this upcoming game against the Detroit Lions. And y'all know how I feel about that. Not only will I be doing play-by-play analysis all 4 quarters and everything, but I'm excited going into that game. I'm confident, man. Whenever you have that boy Jaden Daniels on your side, any given Sunday, line it up. We always have a chance no matter who the opponent is. So let's do it. And without further ado, let's go and dive into this video right now, man. Let's get it. Adam. All right, so first of all, apparently the Jets are trying to take away some of this Commanders juice, man. I mean, hey, we're a hot team right now. Right now, we have the longest active win streak in the NFL right now. And the Jets said, hey, man, let me get at least a little bit of that. So the Jets have apparently, shouts out to Tom Pelissero for tweeting this, reporting this, have apparently requested to interview Commanders defensive coordinator Joe Wood Jr. for their head coaching job. This guy just was a defensive passing game coordinator for the Cowboys just last year. Then he got the promotion to defensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders this year. To go and leap all in, to go from defensive passing game coordinator to head coach in 2 years is actually pretty insane. And this is his first head coach interview for Joe Wood Jr. ever at 46 years old. Remember, he came with Dan Quinn from Dallas to the Washington Commanders, has been an integral part of Washington's turnaround right now. Because we have to admit, man, this is not the most talented defense, but Joe Wood Jr. is finding a way to get things done. We're going to talk about that soon. But yeah, man, the Jets said, hey, we need some of that Commanders greatness. And I know their offense is like legendary right now. Well, our offense, but I'm talking from the Jets' point of view. But hey, man, if we could at least get some of that defensive potential as well, man, give us some of those X's and O's, some of that scheme, some of that motivation. I mean, Joe Wood Jr. does have the personality of a leader, like a head coach, like the type of guy that you will want to run through a brick wall for and things like that. Joe Wood Jr., the way he talks in his press conferences, I could definitely see head coach potential there. So it makes a lot of sense. And shouts out to Burgundy Blog, because I completely agree. He quote tweeted it and said, the stink is all the way gone. Any remnants of Dan Snyder lingering around is clearly gone because other teams finally won our coordinators. It's been for the last like 20 years, we wanted other teams' coordinators. And then we had that brief stint of like Jay Gruden making some of the greatest hires ever, having like Mike McDaniels and you had Kyle Shanahan, I believe. You had Sean McVay, you had Raheem Morris, you had Matt LaFleur, Kevin O'Connell. Like, he had so many great coaches in his coaching staff. I'm probably missed a few. And right now I'm mentally all over the place, especially when I'm already on the like Detroit Lions, so may have messed up some of those names. Maybe I threw in too many names. Maybe I left some names out. But either way, we had the moment, the time period where like Jay Gruden had a bunch of sleeping giants on his team, but we didn't know how great we had it when we had all of those guys. Then they left on to go do other things. But other than that, we've always been trying to take coaches and players from other teams. Now teams are looking at us like, man, we want some of what they got. The tables have completely turned. It's done a complete 180, and that's a good thing. This is something that Commanders fans will definitely have to get used to. This is the price of being one of those good teams in the NFL, man, because the bad teams are constantly trying to take things from the good teams to make them good. And now we're those teams that have a target on our back. Like, hey, man, that offensive coordinator doing his thing. Hey, how about we pay you more money than they're paying you and we're going to give you a promotion and not only money, but also in title and responsibility. Let us get that offensive coordinator. We're going to make him our head coach. Jets right now trying to take our defensive coordinator, Joe Wood Jr. Hey, man, same thing. Pay raise, more responsibility, more power, more credit. Hey, come be our head coach instead of just being a defensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders. You can run the show over here and things like that. And teams are going to try. We've been trying to do that to other teams, and it never really worked. It was really hard for us to get quality coaches because they just didn't want to deal with Dan Snyder. But, I mean, then again, the Jets owner, I mean, I don't know what they got going on over there, talking about they didn't trade for Jerry Jeudy because of his Madden rating. So maybe they're in a situation that's almost as bad as what Dan Snyder had going on over here. So maybe even a guy like Joe Wood Jr., even if he was like looking forward to being a head coach, maybe he looks at that Jets situation is like, nah, that's y'all got too much going on, man. I mean, I just barely dodged the Dan Snyder situation here. I don't want to go into like the new version of Dan Snyder y'all got going on over there with, I mean, their draft capital, their cap space, they made so many moves to try to go in win now mode, like all in on win now, and it didn't work out. Like, honestly, I'd probably prefer to be the head coach for like the Panthers. At least Bryce Young looks like a bright franchise quarterback that's figured it out. They have cap space, they have draft capital, high draft pick and things like that. The Jets, man, it's an ugly situation over there. I mean, I'm assuming Aaron Rodgers is done, but if he's not, that's even worse. And I mean, they have a lot of great talent, but a lot of those guys want out. Garrett Wilson, I believe, straight up said, I'm out if Aaron Rodgers is still here. I forgot who it was, but somebody, one of those top NFL players, I can't remember at all, even what position he played, but it was something on social media where he was looking at the Jets like, hey, man, maybe. And then Sauce Gardner told him, hey, man, don't come here. Don't even do that to yourself. Devontae Adams looks frustrated. Y'all saw that one play where they did the trick play. It was like Devontae Adams to Aaron Rodgers, back to Devontae Adams, and then he got obliterated like a cartoon mallet from Looney Tunes type of thing. I mean, it's just, if I'm Joe Wood Jr., man, I'll wait. I mean, I would love to be a head coach eventually, but I'll wait. I don't think that's the right situation. Shouts out to JP Finley for pointing this out, though. Even beyond Cliff Kingsbury and Joe Wood Jr., I'll be curious what, if anything, might happen with Larry Izzo, our special teams coordinator. Commander special teams have been very good, and Izzo and Mike Vrabel go way back and won a lot of games together in New England. So watch out. It's not just Joe Wood Jr. trying to get pulled to the Jets or Cliff Kingsbury getting interviews potentially with like the Bears, the Saints, every head coach opening, except for like, I mean, the Patriots one has already been filled with Mike Vrabel. They were quick on that one. But outside of that, Cliff Kingsbury is probably up for, potentially for any of those, even though I think he'll ultimately end up staying. I believe the same thing with Joe Wood Jr. He'll probably ultimately end up staying, but watch out for a guy like Larry Izzo, man. Watch out for that one, because even in JP Finley's case, maybe he leaves this great thing he has going on with the Commanders. I don't know why you would. You have Jeremy Reeves and Tyler Owens when he's healthy, Nick Ballore and all of these guys. If we re-sign him, we have so many great special teamers. I don't know why you would leave to go to New England, but then again, maybe he's that close to Mike Vrabel. Maybe Mike Vrabel gives him a raise or something. Who knows? So just watch out. I'm just trying to prepare Commanders fans for other teams trying their hardest to steal our coaches and maybe even players. We'll see how that goes. But shouts out to Mark Bullock, because going back to Joe Wood Jr., man, hey, I feel like he's done a fantastic job. I feel like our fans have not appreciated him enough. And hey, shouts out to the Jets. I appreciate the Jets for trying to interview him for a head coaching job, because then maybe that will make fans realize how great of a defensive coordinator Joe Wood Jr. has been and how great of a job he's done this season. Because now, going to Mark Bullock, what he tweeted, he said no cornerbacks, no defensive ends. Your top defensive tackle is out most of the season due to an injury, and then the other one's playing below par. Still manufactured a middle of the pack defense. That's a pretty dang good effort if you ask me, and I agree. Now, granted, Mike Sarver still stepped up, but yeah, for the most part, this defense is not very talented at all. I mean, Dante Fowler he's definitely had his moments. He's reached double-digit sacks. Dorrance Armstrong has shown potential at times, but and then our linebackers, I mean, they play well usually, but sometimes Frankie Louvu looks like an all-pro. Sometimes he's just kind of there. Bobby Wagner's been very consistent, but he's still not what he used to be. Joe Wood Jr. has really put on a masterclass class of getting the most out of very little when it comes to talent. That's why I keep saying, man, Commanders fans, y'all should be very excited, because not only do you have a franchise quarterback, but also this is probably the worst this roster will be for a very long time. This is the first offseason with Adam Peters, and they did a great job in the draft. I feel like they did a ridiculous job in free agency. I feel like that was like, you can make a debate about who had the best draft class in 2024 out of the NFL, but free agency class, I don't think you can make any argument against the fact that the Commanders did the best job in free agency. Not only did we sign the most free agents out of anybody in the NFL, but we also did it in a very efficient way where we didn't have to hand out a lot of money like a lot of people had to do out here just to try, like we used to have to do. Just to convince somebody to come to our team, we had to overpay for them because, hey man, if I'm going to come to this terrible franchise led by Dan Snyder and there's really not much hope of winning, you at least need to pay me more money to do that rather than me going to a Super Bowl contender and taking less. So, hey man, shouts out to what we've done in this one offseason, but back to my main point, it's only been one offseason. You can't fix everything and fill every hole and every need, every weakness in just one offseason. Jaden Daniels is elevating a honestly average roster overall. Some people may even argue below average, and I just can't wait till we get some more off seasons under our belt to where this roster gets even better. Adam Schefter already told you that veteran players, starters around the NFL were asking their agents, please trade me to the Commanders before the trade deadline. Imagine what free agency is going to be like this time around after what we've done this year. We killed it in free agency after winning 4 games just by the fact that Dan Snyder was gone and we had Adam Peters as our general manager and Dan Quinn as the head coach, just off the strength of that. You know what I'm saying? Now imagine after we have proof of product, after we've gone out there and won 12 games in the regular season, we already won a playoff game on the road. You have a franchise quarterback. The culture looks great. Everybody seems to love each other, celebrate each other, have fun. And then imagine if we beat the Detroit Lions, or if we go even further than that in the play. It's going to be insane. Either way, my point is, people are going to try to steal from our roster, from our coaching staff, and shouts out to Joe Wood Jr. for doing what he's doing right now, because this defense is not very talented. There was only so much they could do in just one off season, man. It's crazy. Statistically, the Commanders have actually been a top 10 defense since week 4. If you cut out the first 3 weeks of Joe Wood Jr. just figuring out that, hey man, Mike Serva still, even though he's that small, may actually be a better outside corner than he is a slot corner. You know, little things like that we've had to figure out on the fly throughout the season without, you know, much time in the preseason and training camp to learn all of those things. You kind of got to get in meaningful games, regular season games where wins and losses actually count, to kind of figure out a lot of these things. So it's hard to simulate that in the off season and in preseason. And so it took us a few weeks. And since week 4, we've been a top 10 defense in the NFL statistically. Also, shouts out to Mark Bullock, because I agree with this as well. He said, interesting. I think Witt has done a really good job with the Commanders defense this year, maximizing what they have despite lacking cornerbacks all year. But defensive coordinators don't typically get looks at head coaching jobs just after one season. And that's a good point. It's typically the offensive coordinator, the offensive-minded head coaches, you know, that people are trying to get. You know, remember Bobby Slowick and Ben Johnson last coaching cycle. This coaching cycle, Bobby Slowick's fallen off of a cliff, basically, and it was replaced by Cliff Kingsbury now. It's Ben Johnson and Cliff Kingsbury that everybody wants, except for the Patriots. They wanted to go the Mike Vrabel route to hopefully get some of that Dan Quinn and Dan Campbell juice that the Detroit Lions have going on right now with the leader of men, defensive-minded type of guys. So I don't think we have much to worry about. I feel like if anything, again, as Commanders fans, we should be super happy about the fact that the Jets are even want to interview this guy, and this should also make a lot of y'all appreciate Joe Wood Jr. just a little bit more. You may not realize how good you have it till you no longer have what you have, man. You don't realize how good it is until the well runs dry, man. You don't miss that water, man. I'm telling you, a lot of people are taking Joe Wood Jr. for granted right now, especially based off of the talent that we have on this roster. I'm assuming he'll stay at least one more year, maybe even longer than that, and I can't wait to see what this defense looks like when he finally has the talent that he wants. The Dallas Cowboys did not lead the NFL in takeaways for the past 3 years before this 2024 season. 2023 and going back, 2021, 2022, 2023, leading the NFL in takeaways for absolutely no reason, just luck. 3 consecutive years in a row. That is not luck, man. That's Dan Quinn Quinn and Joe Wood Jr. being geniuses and great at their jobs. Imagine what happens when they get like a Micah Parsons type of talent on this defense, how elite it will be. So I'm really happy that it seems like more than likely he'll stick around. But again, I feel like Commanders fans need to learn to appreciate him. And the fact that the Jets are at least interviewing him for a head coaching job, even though he'll more than likely not get it, lets you know everything you need to know. Again, not only I just feel like Joe Wood Jr., why would you leave the situation you have, especially this early? I think you at least wait till after year 2 or something like that. Also, the Jets situation is so ugly, so I think we don't have anything to worry about yet. But hey, man, beyond 2025, I don't know what to tell y'all, man. He's probably gone to go get a head coaching gig, and we need to enjoy him while we have him. Now, moving on to the rest of this video. Just to let you know, the 2024 Pepsi Zero Sugar NFL Rookie of the Year finalists are my Georgia dog, Brock Bowers, you know what I'm saying? Hey, shouts out Tampa Bay Buccaneers running back Bucky Irvin, wide receiver Malik Neighbors, yes sir. Bo Nix, quarterback for the Denver Broncos. I call him Mo Picks. You know, I'm always, that's going to be permanent. And then Brian Thomas, wide receiver of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I mean, the only thing that disgusts me out of this list, and of course, I mean, Jaden Daniels, the only reason I didn't mention his name is because he already has it in the bag. I just gave you all of the basically the second place, the first losers, I guess, is that list. The only thing that irritates me is that out of those 6 names, 3 of those guys are all from LSU. I hate that as a Georgia Bulldog fan, but at least I got one in Brock Bowers, who a lot of people feel like he should at least come in second place when it comes to MVP, the Rookie of the Year voting. But either way, Jaden Daniels, more than likely gonna win it. I couldn't even fathom somehow he doesn't win it. He already broke the record for Rookie of the Week. I mean, I feel like the award should have been given out already. I don't even know why we even put up a finalist list. I don't even see why we even put that together and wasting our time. But I just wanted to go ahead and give y'all that those are the official list of finalists. I'm only telling y'all that just to let you know who's about to lose to Jaden Daniels, in my opinion. That's it. Also, moving on, Ben Standig said that the Commanders practice schedule got pushed up one day because of the Saturday game, just to let you know. And so they are practicing today. Tuesday is basically what normally would be a Wednesday because we play the Detroit Lions Saturday night. Also, Dan Quinn let us know that some veterans had vet rest days today. So tight end Zach Ertz, wide receiver Jamison Crowder, defensive end Cleveland Farrell, and defensive end Dante Fowler. You know, the sort of older guys were able to rest today. So they did not practice. Nothing to worry about injury-wise. They're just resting. And shouts out to Jamison Crowder because he was questionable leading up to that game, and he ended up being a big part of why we won that game with his returning in the punt game, man, and even some of those fair catches he had, those were crucial. Instead of like letting it bounce and us starting our possession like within the 5-yard line or you know, muffin punts. We saw Olamide Zaccheaus doing that earlier in the season. So man, I'm really happy to have Jamison Crowder. I think he deserves a rest day. Also, Dan Quinn was asked about the late game moments, if they're tough to take. He said, quote, "Nah, it's awesome. It's the best part of coaching. Doing that kind of hard S word with really good people." Remember, that was his quote way back in the offseason. That's as fun as it gets. It doesn't always work out in your favor. Can't feel more alive, unquote. So Dan Quinn lives for those moments. He loves those moments. Let's keep it going. Hopefully, you know, maybe we can start to win some games convincingly enough to where we don't have to be in those moments. But when we are, this team is ready. And it's not just the players, it's the coaching staff as well, all the way up to the head coach. Also, Dan Quinn talked about the impact of Wagner and Zach Ertz among all of the veterans that we brought in free agency, like we talked about earlier. He said, quote, "Very high standards, really high. And I thought that alone is a standard of what excellence and winning can look like. If you're trying to do something, look at those examples first," unquote. And that was definitely a deliberate strategy from this coaching staff, from Adam Peters and these guys, that we're going to bring in a lot of young talent. We want to build this up from the ground up, starting with the foundation through the draft with a lot of young players that we're going to develop and are going to be here contributing to wins and helping us win playoff games, hopefully win Super Bowls way down the line. Got homegrown talent, but at the same time, it was definitely deliberate to bring in some of these veterans that have been there, done that. Playoffs, Super Bowl winners. Zach Ertz and Bobby Wagner, both Super Bowl winners. Coaching staff guys that have won Super Bowls, gone to Super Bowls and everything like that. I mean, again, we have so many like former defensive coordinators taking on like lesser defensive roles as like just the linebacker linebackers coach, just a defensive line, things like that, or a defensive passing game coordinator, stuff like that. Then even same thing on the offensive side of the ball. And then also we have head coaches taking lesser roles. I mean, Anthony Lynn was a head coach when Justin Herbert was rookie of the year. Now he's just our running game coordinator and running backs coach. That's it. Like, we brought in so many guys with so much experience at the highest levels possible, man. And I feel like that was definitely a strategy that they came in with a goal, and they definitely achieved it. And then Quinn basically just let you know it came full circle, man. That's why we're here, bringing in guys like Zach Ertz and Bobby Wagner. Also, shouts out to Nikki Javala, because she pointed this out. She said things the Commanders got in just the last 18 months. 1, new owners. 2, a new GM. 3, a new team president. 4, a new head coach, new coordinators, a star quarterback, a top 5 scoring offense, its best record in 33 years, its first playoff win in 19 years, and then lastly, 10, a chance to build a new stadium at the RFK site, man. It's been a beautiful last 18 months as a Burgundy and Gold fan, man. I mean, we couldn't have asked for better. Now, moving on to the last thing I wanted to tell y'all before we get up out of here. Phil Yates just let everybody know through a tweet, the average purchase price of a ticket for the Lions versus Commanders game is $991 right now. Insane. Making it the most expensive NFL game, excluding Super Bowls, on record right now. Massive interest for this huge game, with a get-in price of $588 and $597 for a physical seat. That is absolutely insane, man. And if people are buying those tickets like that, I mean, first of all, maybe that means that they feel like this is actually going to be somewhat of a good game. Maybe like a shootout. They think this game may be closer than a lot of people think. Vegas has us like 8.5-point underdogs or something like that. Maybe people are buying these tickets thinking, hey, man, this may actually be fun to watch. I think, honestly, all of this is that boy Jaden is big boy money right now. Jaden Daniels is big money. I mean, we about to be playing prime time as many times as the NFLs can possibly schedule it for us next year and beyond. I'm telling y'all that right now. They're probably trying to send us to the UK, to Brazil, to Germany if they can. They're going to try to do all of that. So go ahead and get used to this, people. Just like getting used to people still in our coordinators like we talked about earlier. Get used to playing at 4 p.m. at the earliest most weekends when we, next year especially. They're going to start to try to put us in prime time. Everybody's watching as often as possible. They don't want Jaden Daniels playing at 1 p.m. with other games that people could be watching. They're going to try to get Jaden Daniels to go out there and be the center of attention as much as possible. So that means ticket prices will be higher. That means our games will start later. All of that type of stuff, man. So just go ahead and get used to that, man. Go ahead and get used to it. And again, my main point is that if the Detroit Lions were just that great, but the Commanders weren't, people wouldn't be buying these tickets like this. This game wouldn't be this anticipated. This means that a lot of people out there are thinking that this game is going to be really good. They think that, hey, man, maybe the Commanders have a chance, because you know why? They got that boy Jaden. You know why? Because 5. But yeah, man, that's the end of the video, man. Please make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content, man. Really appreciate y'all for supporting the channel. I mean, if you made it this far in the video, man, big salute to you just off that alone. Really appreciate that. And of course, let me know in the comment section how you feel about this whole Joe Wood Jr. situation. Do you think like he's likely to leave within his first year? Let me know how you feel about us practicing in the code already. How do you feel about these ticket prices? And if do you agree with me that means that a lot of people feel like the Commanders could actually make this a good game, because people wouldn't pay all of this money to go watch a blowout or something. So let me know if you agree with me there as well. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. I'm gonna try my best. I've been super busy, super duper busy, but I'm gonna try to read and reply to as many comments as possible. I know I keep saying that, but I really want to. So man, make sure y'all stay tuned, and I'm gonna catch y'all later. Really appreciate y'all. Leave a like on the way out. I'm out.